Greetings, everybody. Merry meet and blessed be you out there. So, I'd like to explain a little bit about myself in regards to the inspiration of this video that I'm making here now. What inspired me to make my video? I've talked about this in some of my past videos. I mean, we're talking, you know, years ago. I haven't done anything. I haven't talked about the subject for a long time, but I think it needs a refresher course. So, but anyhow, um, so I just diving right into it. I grew up in a LDS Church of Latter Day Saints family, a Mormon family here in Utah, um, and my family was pretty unique because I had some friends that belonged to other faiths, and it didn't bug them, it didn't bother them for me to go to their church, you know, and experience that, you know. They were pretty open minded, you know. However, I mean, you know, it didn't matter. Sunday, I had to go to church, okay. Um, I remember my mom grabbing me by the nape of my hair, you know, of my neck, and dragging me to church a few times because I didn't want to. But my dad, he hardly ever went to church, and so my mom was very religious and very devoted, and you know, engaged in the church. But my dad, I think my entire lifetime inside the family, you know, living inside under the roof, I think my dad probably went to church maybe a dozen times, you know, out of my 18 years. so uh, but you know, so religion had been a really big conflict for me growing up as a child, you know. And as I got older in my teen years and everything and stuff, it just amplified my confusion, my frustration, and you know, and in regards to the world around us, in regards to everything I was taught in the Bible and stuff about. Anyway, it was a real huge conflict for me growing up. Um, I remember when I was 14, I my brother had come. He's been living up in Wyoming. My brother come down to hunt with a friend of his that he went to high school with on the bow hunt, and so we went up, you know, and spend a week up the canyon and stuff, and to spend some quality time with my brother, and also, you know. But anyway, I was too young to hunt at that time, and so I just up there camping, and I'd go off and do my own thing and stuff like that. But I remember we were parked off like the main road into a camp spot and I remember walking across the road uh, because it's called tie fork. It's where three big huge fingers come down together, three big huge canyons or draws, and that's where they had dropped off in to go hunting, my brother and his friend Shane. And I remember walking across the street, just kind of like get a gander down there and look, see if I could see him, you know, whatever. And it was in the latter half of August. All the trees were changing and stuff, and your oak and your maple were changing colors, and just really beautiful. And we didn't have half the pollution that we have nowadays and stuff. And so everything was just crystal clear, and everything was just vibrant crimsons and oranges and yellows, and just beautiful and for the eyes could see, and it was just breathtaking. And you know, I just pretty much told myself, you know, I just kind of like got this little, you know, inspiration, divine inspiration, and you know, I thought to myself, this is what I worship. This is what I believe in, is Mother Earth. Now at that time I didn't even know what the word paganism meant, you know, or was, and so you know, and I didn't think that I didn't have any knowledge that that's basically what I was embracing at the time. And so, but anyway, um, you know, and because I realized at that time that she's what sustains us. I mean, even without, you know, um, uh, any type of religion, any type of like structural, you know, she sustains us. You know, I mean, so anyway, um, you know, the old mountain man and stuff. You know, I grew up in that type of like a family. We were very outdoorsy and stuff, and hunters and gatherers and farmers and but you know, and it was like, who needs money? You know, as long as you only take what you need and live comfortably with that. And you know, I mean, you can live comfortably with that. I mean, I was thinking outside the box at a very young age, and so as I got older and stuff, you know, I made some choices that were very, very bad choices, and I wound up in trouble. And you know, I was at a point in my life, it was like I was just doing a lot of inner reflecting, is in regards to, you know, where am I? What am I doing? What am I doing with myself? And this ain't working. This ain't good. You know, it's a lot of my bad choices were made out of rebellion, out of anger, frustration, you know, just unknowing, you know, I mean, just confused. And I just was a very angry young man. And uh, I needed to find something that I could honestly, concretely, really believe in. Something that didn't require blind faith, that, you know, just sounded good, you know. But when it come down to practicing what you preach, you know, I just didn't want to be a hypocrite anymore. And I ventured, and I searched a lot of different religious paths, Hinduism, Ashavata, and all that stuff, you know, and Buddhism and stuff, and those are very, very cool religions and stuff, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. And then I had a friend uh, uh, introduced me to in 1996. Actually, it was 19 yeah 1996. Introduced me to Wicca, witchcraft, and at that time there wasn't a discrepancy between the two. They were both men. They were both the same thing. Um, and you know, witchcraft. Well, I was brought up believing witchcraft was Satan worshiping, devil worshiping, human sacrifices, all this dogma crap, you know. And but at the same time too, as well, is I was open and minded enough to to give things a chance. And he had, you know, a half a dozen books or so on it, and he says, "Hey, check, just, you know, just check it out. Tell me what you think." And so I did, and I was thinking, "Holy crap, this is not what I was brought up to believe it was." And so anyway, I'll continue on with my story. I won't have any stuff in my second video, and uh, and there's a reason behind this, because I'm a very objective person, and I wanted something concrete and real to believe in. So I'll continue this in video number 2. Thank you. Greetings, everybody who out here. Merry meet and blessed be. This is video number 2, and so I'm just gonna dive right back in where I left off on video number 1. So I wanted something that uh, I wanted a belief system that was objective, you know, not just subjective. And you know, so I was reading these books on Wicca, witchcraft, that a friend of mine, you know, let me read, and I was discovering that, wow, this is not, it's nothing like what I was taught when I was in that box, you know, that Christian box. And uh, and I, you know, it just really inspired me, and so I wanted to dive into this a little bit more. So when I embraced Wicca slash witchcraft, again, they're, I predate the discrepancy between the two. They're both the same thing. Um, I was very cautious, but the books that I've read that my friend let me borrow and stuff like that really inspired me to dig a little deeper and what have you stuff. And so I did a lot of research into witchcraft, Wicca, and I just didn't jump right into it. And uh, I started. I borrowed his catalog. At that time, we didn't have the internet. Available. It was really expensive, and a lot of places didn't have it. So I borrowed his catalog, and I noticed that um, there were some books in there having stuff. So it was like I was having this clear audience type of communication with this higher source, this divine source, and I was being guided. And because there was just certain books that was just kind of like popping out and getting my interest, kind of like speaking at me and stuff. And it's really crazy because every single book that I purchased that way answered the questions that I had in my mind in regards to life's the whys and how comes to everything, you know. And so, but I eventually embraced, I fully embraced witchcraft slash Wicca. And here's the reason why: is because witchcraft is an objective religion. Okay, witchcraft is a religion in its own right. It's just not a magical practice, which a lot of millennials have basically shaped and formed it to what it is nowadays. It's when you study, and it's just not about the operations or the witchcraft. You study the belief system behind it. It's all about Mother Nature. It's all about um, you know um, staying in tune and staying in balance with Mother Earth. Okay, but there's also the supernatural phenomena side of it in regards to communication, you know communion between the divine and yourself, raising your intellectual, your intuitive energies to connect with the divine aspects of life, within and without, in all aspects of life. And so you get a lot of the paranormal, metaphysical aspects to as well, that are part of it as well. And so um, it really, I embrace it. Just really changed my life around for the better. And for the reason why, again, the inspiration of this video is because I've seen a lot of videos out there and stuff where real, talking about where religion is the bane of humanity, is the cause of all problems, etc., etc., etc. And I'm thinking to myself, so within my studies, it's totally just the opposite. It's totally just the opposite. What I believe in is purely objective, and um, it's all about harmonization with Mother Earth, with nature, with other people, with animals, all living life. You know, and it the thing about it is with Wicca slash witchcraft, it has no structure. It doesn't have no ego structure like most Orthodox religions are. It's like the Bible was made to govern people rather than enlighten them. You know, um, Wicca is just totally different. It doesn't have that structure, And the thing about it is, and even when you get into structure on a microcosm scale of the craft, that only occurs like within covens that they get together and they structure their own like inner coven bylaws, so to speak. It's nothing that governs Wicca as a whole, or the witchcraft as a whole. It's pretty much, usually even cover members are pretty much solitary and eclectic themselves outside the coven, you know. So it's only like in a coven type of like, structure, that you'll find any type of like bylaws or structures and stuff like that. And that's always on agreement with the cover members. It never encompasses other covens or the craft, or if you want to call, or Wicca, the same thing. Again, it's the same thing to me. It doesn't govern it as a whole. So, and I've seen a lot of videos too, as well, as where um, a lot of millennial, or people just getting into it and stuff, talk about, they that's one of the discrepancies that they bring up in regards to witchcraft versus Wicca or whatever, is that Wicca is structured, and I don't like anything that's structured. Well, nothing could be further from the truth if they honestly really studied it for what it is. But most people just take hand me down, word of mouth, and they just go with it. They really don't do any type of like real research. And you got to read more than just one book and what have you stuff. But and another thing I noticed too, as well, is a lot of the neo age, and I'm talking about these new authors from like the turn of the century, from 2000s on, to current times and stuff. They've really dogmatized, Wicca and slash witchcraft. They're the ones that really have widened that gap for their own individual purpose and recognition, whatever it may be, because all the all your reading material and stuff, that dates before the turn of the century, before the 21st century, they're both the same. They're both the same, and it. But anyway, it's really interesting, um, to observe, and but sometimes it's really frustrating too, as well. But anyway, so my involvement in the craft, uh, you know, and for anybody who discredits the craft in regards to how it blends in with I mean, I read a book where this guy was a actual a physician, a doctor. I mean, he has people. He's operating on people. Sophisticated operations and stuff. This guy is a doctor. He's totally around science. And he used to be a Christian, and then within his medical field and what have you stuff, he pretty much aborted Christianity, but then he was introduced to Wicca, witchcraft, and I just out of curiosity, he ended up exploring that, and just like me, he ended up just, man, just more things just developed in his curiosity, and eventually he embraced witchcraft and Wicca, because and it talks about witchcraft and quantum physics, Wicca and quantum physics. Wicca is not apart from a science. That's just the whole thing. And it grows over a period of time. It develops. The gods are walking with us, not against us, not keeping us in one spot like the old Orthodox religions of Christianity, Judaism, etc. But anyway, I hope this kind of like clears some things up. You know what I'm saying? Wicca is not a structured religion that binds people against their will and makes them toe this mark and walk this line. It's a very loose religion, whiny stuff, and you know, we are eclectic and solitary. You know what I mean? As well as we band together in covens and may have a few bylaws within that coverings, but it's always just a friendly based mutual thing. It's nothing that governs all of Wicca or all of witchcraft. So, but Wicca and witchcraft are one of the same. Hope I cleared up some conceptions. And if you feel offended by this, well, maybe there's a reason why. Take care. Blessed be. Greetings, merry meet, and blessed be everybody. Uwath here. Video number 3. All right, so Wicca and witchcraft. All right, so I one of the biggest discrepancies that I hear modern witches talk about when it comes to dogmatizing Wicca is that it has a triple goddess, the Maiden Mother and Crone. Well, as you can see, this book that I displayed at the beginning of this video, the author published that in the mid 1990s, and it's it's just full of goddesses from all different traditions, throughout the world, and talks about each one of the goddesses, all of them, all of the goddesses. Nothing could be further from the truth. Like I said, I have a library of over 280 books, and most of them were published and having stuff in the mid 1990s, before there was this big gap, this discrepancy between Wicca and witchcraft, and they all talk about the old gods. Wicca incorporates the old gods. We work with them on individual bases, depending on our needs. That's what they're there for. Gods and goddesses. We work with them separately. We just don't stick with the Maiden Mother Crone. She symbolizes the balance and the harmony. The Maiden Mother Crone, everything from the seasons to the aspects of the world, of Mother Earth, those aspects within us as well as without us. We work with individual gods and goddesses and from different cultures and stuff like that. I'm solitary and I'm eclectic, and I pull a lot from the Celtic pantheon, which covers not only Ireland but Scotland and the British Isles, Wales. I pull a lot from the Greek pantheon and the Norse pantheon, the Native American pantheon. Um, you know, I sculpt my religious beliefs and my practices to my liking. Nobody tells me what I can and can't believe, or how I must practice and how I can't practice. There are no bylaws. There's no structure in Wicca like that. It's totally false. It's just false propaganda and dogma, and just dogma. It's. So I don't understand how this gap has gotten so big. I mean, I do understand, but I'm not here to get into that, because I want this to be an inspirational video. But it's just, love and light, man. That's what it's all about. Love and light. You know, um, it it's something that it's a spiritual movement that has grown so huge. It's you have your Christian collective. That's where their minds come together, and you have this new age spiritualism where we all are in tune with similar paths, although different. You know what I mean? But it's outside of that box. It's its own collective force, and it is powerful. But you're going to have those people that it's just like when I discovered this book. It's called Early Mormonism and the Magic Worldview. Well, this author of this book was a professor at the BYU University here in Utah, which is the church, the Mormon Church's university, personal university. And he was a Utah historian as well as a historian of the church. And he was granted access to a lot of materials and what have you, stuff that the public didn't have access to. And he wrote this book, and he published actual documents of these parchment papers and different things and stuff that belonged to Joseph Smith, as well as Brigham Young, etc. And the church didn't want those to get out to the public, and he went ahead and published this book, and they didn't want him to publish it, and he got excommunicated from the church for publishing this book. But when you take this book and you show the correspondence between high ceremonial magic, um, diagrams and different things and stuff, symbolism and all this stuff, and then you show them the comparisons to what Joseph Smith was involved in, which he came from a family of Masons. Um, they don't want to believe it, even though it's factual. It's right there. You know what I mean? The book's loaded full of notes, to where you can do your own research, and you can find these notes on your own and stuff. This information, this resource on your own. You can do your own. So I mean, it's concrete, it's factual, and they still don't want to believe it. They don't want to believe the fact that Joseph Smith was engaged in high ceremonial practices, rituals, and different things and stuff, and used items that the church, is has led its members to believe is witchcraft. you know and so they don't want to, they just don't want to acknowledge that. They push it away. And I think a lot of new age or millennial witches have done the same thing when it comes to witchcraft and Wicca. Is they've been brought up to, you know believing that this is witchcraft and this is Wicca. And they don't, they want to, they don't want to accept the fact that there is no discrepancy. they they, because their internal belief system is now being tested. You know what I'm saying? And they're in this comfort zone, and they don't want to acknowledge the fact that there's no difference between the two. And so they'll come up with all this jargon, and they'll it's hard to have a debate with someone who is making up facts as they go along. uh, and even when you can show them the proof, they still don't want to believe it. It's kind of funny. It's sometimes it's frustrating, but it's kind of funny. But anyway, it's all love and light, man. It's all love and light. We're on the same side. I don't understand why there's got to be this discrepancy. It's stupid. But anyway, blessed be, and yeah, marry me again, man.